welcome to the Bosnian Student Project Reunion 2025. Dear friends, family, and members of the Bosnian Student Project, I welcome you to this long-awaited reunion. Today we gather not just as individuals, but as a family, bound not by blood, but shared experience, resilience, and the generosity of those who believed in us. The idea of this reunion visited me many times over the years. But one quiet morning, sitting in my backyard with a cup of coffee, Bosnian coffee, listening to the birds and reflecting on life, just like Doc did this morning in my backyard, a question came to my mind. Where would I be if there had been no Bosnian Student Project? My mind wandered around the possibilities. Perhaps I would have stayed in Zagreb, Croatia, lost in uncertainty, or returned to home in Mostar, torn by war. And then it struck me. Someone's willingness to help had saved my life and gave me the world of opportunities. This moment inspired me to bring us together again, to honor those who opened doors, offered safety, and gave us the chance to dream again. We are the Bosnian Student Project family. Our parents are Lejla and Dan Hostetter, and our extended family include Patrick McCarthy, Professor Peter Kahn, Professor Wales Brown, and many others, wonderful people whose unselfish hearts changed the course of our lives, but were not able to attend this reunion. That's why I'm recording. Let me tell you my story. I was a student at the University of Sarajevo, studying English language and literature, dreaming of becoming an English teacher. I left Sarajevo just before the siege and stayed in Mostar until my parents realized it was no longer safe. I went to live to Zagreb with my uncle, hoping to return home soon. In Zagreb, I tried to enroll at the university, but I was told I was a foreigner, international student. I met other students from Bosnia and Herzegovina in a similar situation, and we were then introduced to the Bosnian Student Association and eventually met with Tosun Barak. In August of 1993, I arrived in the United States, welcomed by Tosun Barak, Jamila, his wife, Doug and his wife Bobby. I enrolled at Iona University in New York and changed my major to political science, hoping to understand the forces behind the war and displacement. While I was at Iona University, my parents arrived to St. Louis as refugees. I wanted to be near them, and then I graduated. Doug connected me with Patrick McCarthy, who helped me continue my education as a graduate student majoring in international relations at Webster University through a scholarship and work study program. I'm deeply thankful to our Patrick McCarthy for offering support throughout those years and beyond. What does the Bosnian Student Project mean to me? It is my mother, my father, my brothers and sisters. It is my family. I want to thank the host families for opening their home to students. I want to thank the Jarahi Mosque community for their enormous support. I'm deeply grateful to Sister Kathleen Dagan, Professor of Religion at Iona University, who took me under her wing and became my safe haven during the time when I had no contact with my family back home. There was a moment during my time at Iona University when the weight of war, displacement, separation from my family just felt unbearable. I was thousands of miles away from home, trying to focus on my studies while carrying the silence of unanswered letters and the fear of not knowing whether my parents and grandparents were alive. She listened to my stories and reminded me that a healing was possible. She didn't try to fix me. She simply stood beside me. In many ways, she became the mother I couldn't reach during the war. Her presence was a light in my dark time, and I carry her kindness with me to this day. At the graduation ceremony at Iona University in New York, I stood among my classmates with pride, but also with a very quiet ache in my heart. My family couldn't be there. I was alone. graduation. The war had scattered us, and I was alone in a moment that should have been shared. But then something extraordinary happened. Miljana Radonjic-Ilic and her husband Dani, whom I met shortly upon my arrival at Iona, had no obligation to me, chose to show up. They attended my graduation, cheered for me like I was their own child, took photos, and later sent me a beautiful photo album, a gift of memory and love. They didn't have to do that. They could have spent their days elsewhere, but they chose to do what they felt was right. Their kindness reminded me that love isn't always inherited. It's offered freely and generously by people who see your journey and decide to walk beside you. Jim Schrank, a firefighter from New York, whose humanitarian work brought him to Bosnia and Herzegovina, who met my parents in a refugee camp, found me in St. Louis and delivered the message that they were safe. None of these people had to do what they did. Tosun didn't have to start the Bosnian Student Project. Doug didn't have to join. But it takes a special kind of person to act with such compassion. We, the Bosnian Student Project students, may never be able to repay you, late Tosun, Doug, Professor Peter, Professor Wales, Patrick, who saved our lives and brought us to the United States. But we must never forget, and we must continue the mission. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to St. Louis University, especially to Patrick McCarthy for opening the doors to this reunion. We really appreciate that. And let us celebrate, remember, and carry forward the legacy of love and hope that brought us together. Each of you, in your own way, became part of my Bosnian Student Project. And we will continue the mission by living lives of purpose, by helping others, and honoring the legacy that brought us here. Thank you all for being part of this journey. Thank you for being part of the Bosnian Student Project, and welcome to the Bosnian Student Project Reunion 2025. I have to put it in words, otherwise I couldn't speak from my head. I have to put it down. But now I'm going to introduce, of course, you know him already, Patrick McCarthy.